I think one of the big confusions with Christianity and other major religions when it comes to the subject of God, morality, human relationships, relationship with the earth, and what all these things mean, the idea of evil, etc., is I believe that many people who are in religions and reaching for something that they call God are indeed reaching for or trying to ask questions about whatever the ultimate source of all things is, where love comes from, etc. But they're confused in that they think that that which they are naturally searching for is the Bible story, is the quote unquote God of the Old Testament and Jesus. I don't believe that. I don't think there's any evidence for that whatsoever. I think the things that people call evidence are just their pre-conclusions that they're copy and pasting on the story and calling that truth and then rubbing it into people's faces and expecting them to come to. And if not, then there's chance of hellfire. Um, Even if many of these people, some of which have been family members of mine, friends, etc., they say, well, I don't wish you to go to hell. I'm just saying that's what the book says, you know? So, convenient side upping for being responsible for yourself, right? Um, yeah, but you don't need that book called the Bible. You don't need the religion or any of that. Maybe you do right now, or maybe someone does right now, but in an ultimate sense, no one needs that crap. Um, the God, I mean, the Old Testament, it never speaks of the ultimate source of reality, and it never tries to get the reader to believe that that figure called Yahweh or the figures called Elohim are the source of everything. I mean, perhaps those individual beings, whatever they were trying to maybe say that they were the ultimate source of everything, but they didn't go into detail with that. It's purely interpretive. It's not there. Plus, it doesn't matter. It's just not the truth. These these things we call God or the one God are not. Yahweh was an Elohim. That was the name that he gave to Moses or whoever it was, Abraham, when he I think it was Moses when he asked, like, well, what do I say you're called? So that was the name he gave, but this was a limited entity. This was a mortal flesh and blood being that was born and was going to die. This is not God. This is not the source of all things. This was not. It had nothing to do with that. These, according to that book, these were perhaps identifiable with the same Anunnaki sky gods, the tyrannical, raping, pillaging, kind of piece of shit entities from another galaxy or another dimension or whatever, that came to Earth and wanted to do genetic engineering on the current species on Earth and make them the slaves for their own wiles or something. And it doesn't matter who cares, right? So, but it wasn't. It had nothing to do with God. If what we mean by God is the ultimate source of everything, being itself, that's not what the book is talking about. That's not what that book is talking about. So I think people are confused. I think in the goodness of their hearts, they're thinking that's what that means because but they were given the story and told that the Elohim shitty sky lords, that are translated in eventually into a monotheistic God, a singular God, which they never were, and it was never meant to be that way, um, are the same, identified with the same the ultimate source of everything. So there's a confusion, and that's where a lot of the problems and a lot of these original wounds, psychophysiological, spiritual wounds of our current world culture come from. Is we mix these two things that were never meant to be mixed, that don't actually go together. We're thinking that the tyrannical asshole behavior and actions of these, whatever they were, beings, not God, um, whatever God's supposed to be, right? In the Old Testament, are the loving source of all that is, and being itself or consciousness itself. That's not what that is. And so, because we're holding on to that belief that that's what that is, we condone the actions of these shitty tyrannical sky lords in the Old Testament and beyond, with their genocidal, raping, pillaging, jealousy, all of these things, all of these behaviors and types of personality. And so we condone those things because we are told, and we subsequently believe that that is God, because when we're thinking that, we're thinking that God is the ultimate source of everything, and that's what God is. And therefore, it's okay because God has a reason for everything, right? So it's okay that, you know, this Sky Lord or angel or whatever it's supposed to be came in and had sex with Mary and produced the mixed hybrid of Jesus or whatever actually happened. But it was not a spiritual thing. It was not an okay thing. As Mauro Buglino says, the conception of Jesus came through the regular route, meaning through sexual intercourse. That's how it happens, guys. So, yeah, we don't, I don't think Jesus is the biggest, coolest thing ever. He said a lot of stupid shit that I don't agree with, and he said a lot of cool shit that I agree with. Who cares, right? We don't need that religion. We don't need Jesus. We don't need any of that to be good people, because it doesn't come from a book. It comes from our own being, which is it's here. It's part of reality. The ability to choose something that hurts someone, the ability to choose something that loves someone, are both part of reality. It's part of who we are, and yeah. But I wanted to share that because it's something that's been on my mind recently, and but it's a confusion. It's a confusion in the mind. It's a confusion. It's not. That's not the source of all things being itself. Being itself is not synonymous with these shitty tyrannical sky lords of the Old Testament. So I don't think anyone should have to give a shit and put their hearts and souls and beliefs into, and their livelihoods into the belief that that crap equals the love that is at the source of everything and is the substance of our own being, our own beingness. It's not the same thing. So, if you hate me, knock yourself out. Don't care. If this opened something up or was helpful or enjoyable, cool. Let me know. Or not. Have a good day.